If you're looking to emulate the same styling found on one of the baddest production cars of all time, but without breaking the bank, well then the SpeedForm Hellcat Style Spoiler here in matte black will be a must-have addition to your 2008 and newer ride. Now this particular spoiler will combine a durable yet lightweight ABS plastic for the build, while also incorporating that pre-painted matte black finish that's going to go along with just about any color Challenger there is. Now price point's going to hover in that low $200 range, while the install itself will get a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and maybe take you a couple of hours or so to complete from start to finish. So in my humble opinion, gang, this is going to be one of the best looking spoilers out there for the Challenger, as it just balances the right amount of aggressiveness but still maintaining that OE feel. Now that OE feel, or inspiration rather, is pretty obvious, right? This is going to be modeled after the Charger Hellcat factory spoiler and has been molded to fit the rear of the Challenger perfectly. Now the SpeedForm option does feature a lot of the same styling cues, such as the subtle rake kind of coming off the trunk lid, along with the detail here towards the middle, which I feel gives this option a little bit more character. Now speaking of which, materials are going to be pretty standard here in the land of spoilers, and that is a pressure molded ABS plastic for the overall construction before being finished off in a matte black color here, which again I think will offer a nice color contrast to any color Challenger out there, or if you like, you can always have this thing prepped and painted to match your ride as well. That's totally up to you. Now, if you haven't done so already, feel free to read up on the numerous 4- and 5-star reviews, along with checking out a bunch of the customer submitted images back on the product page at AmericanMuscle.com if you haven't already done so. A couple quick things to point out here, guys. SpeedForm states that this spoiler is not compatible with cars equipped with a factory backup camera, so just keep that in mind before pulling the trigger. Also, the OE option here will mount using the existing holes left by your factory spoiler. However, if you don't have a factory spoiler installed, well then obviously you will need to break out the drill. But to give you a better idea of just how the install will go down on your ride at home, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
The tools used for this install are a drill, 15-30 seconds drill bit, a ratchet, 10mm socket, needle nose pliers, a Phillips head screwdriver, a plastic trim tool, and some painter's tape. So for this install, we are going to have to remove our factory spoiler. If yours is not equipped with a factory spoiler, there's a little bit more drilling involved than this one. We do still have to drill, even if we have a factory spoiler installed on our vehicle, but I'm going to show you every step of the process to get this onto your car. So let's get started. Because I am removing my factory spoiler from the car, I'm going to actually be underneath the trunk lid, and there is a small nut cover on either side of the trunk lid that's covering up a stud with a 10mm nut. I'm going to just take my 10mm socket on my ratchet, and I'm going to remove the one on this side and the other side as well. Now that I have the nuts removed for my factory spoiler, I can start working my way around the perimeter of the spoiler and pulling up on it. Now there might be some double stick tape, and a plastic trim tool is not a bad idea to use for this. And just work your way around the spoiler to release that double stick tape that should be underneath. And it should just pop right out. Now that I've got the factory spoiler removed from our trunk lid, you can see that there are 5 pre-drilled holes from the factory. Now, if your vehicle does not have those 5 pre-drilled holes, you are going to have to use the alignment tools that are provided with the kit to make your marks and drill your holes. You'll have to make a 1/8" pilot hole for all 5 of them. You'll drill your outer holes to 5/16 of an inch, and you'll drill your inner 3 to 15-30 seconds. Now, I will have to open up these inner 3 holes to 15-30 seconds of an inch, and that's going to be so that I can accept a plastic grommet that's going to help secure the spoiler to the trunk lid. As I mentioned, if your vehicle does have the 5 pre-drilled holes in the trunk lid, you still are going to need to open up the center 3 holes to 15-30 seconds of an inch. Now for the demonstration purposes of this video, I'm not going to drill the holes, but I did want to show you guys the power drill and the drill size that you are going to need. And once you've drilled out those holes, that's going to allow you to insert these plastic grommets that are going to accept a stud that installs onto the bottom of the new spoiler and allows everything to clip into place. Now it's not a bad idea also, if you're going to drill these holes out bigger, to put a little bit of painter's tape around the holes, just so that you make sure everything stays nice and clean when you do drill that hole into the trunk lid. The next thing I'm going to want to do is make sure that I'm working with a nice clean surface, because there is some 3M tape that's on the bottom of our new spoiler that helps to hold it down with the provided hardware that comes with the kit. So I've got a little bit of detail spray and a microfiber cloth. I'm going to wipe this all down, and then I'll get started on installing my new spoiler. So as I mentioned before, this kit does provide you with the alignment tools you would need in order to drill the holes properly on your vehicle. Now, they are these strips that have a hole pre-drilled in the middle of them, and there's a little bit of a sticky part that you have to peel off. And what you would do is peel off that double stick and line it up with the holes on the bottom of the spoiler. Once you have them sticked in place, just push down, and you'll do that for all 5 of the bolt holes. Once you have all of these stuck to the bottom of the spoiler, you'll take this over to the vehicle, position it the way it's supposed to be on the back of the trunk lid, and then you would take your painter's tape and just hold down each end of these drill templates. You would then lift your spoiler up off of those drill template holes, and those template holes would stay in place. That would allow you to then go in with your 1/8 inch drill bit, your 5/16 drill bit afterwards, and your 15/32 drill bit to make your holes right where they need to be, and everything will line up perfectly when you're finished. Before I can install this new spoiler onto my trunk, there are 3 plastic studs that need to be installed in the 3 center threaded holes. Now, these studs are designed to clip into these plastic grommets that we just drilled open those holes on the trunk lid to accept at 15/32 of an inch. And when everything lines up, these push in and clip into place and secure down the center of the spoiler. I can just screw these into the bottom side of the spoiler, and you might need a pair of needle nose pliers just to turn them so that they bottom out. I'm going to install these plastic studs in the center 3 holes on the bottom of the spoiler. And as I mentioned before, these line up with the plastic grommets that insert into the enlarged holes on the trunk lid. I'll get them in as far as I can by hand, and then I'll just use my needle nose pliers and I'll spin them in the rest of the way. Now, the last thing I want to do before I actually start putting this onto my trunk lid is, as you can see, there is a 3M strip that goes around the perimeter of the base of the spoiler. Now, I don't want to peel the 3M backing all the way off and then try to sit it onto the trunk lid and potentially miss alignment, and now I'm stuck. So what I'm going to do is actually peel back the corners of my 3M and just fold it back enough so that I can grab onto it once this thing is sitting on the trunk lid. And once I have all of my screw holes lined up and my clips inserted, then I can just go back and peel these pull tabs and get everything seated properly and positioned perfectly. Make sure you leave yourself enough of a tail to grab onto once this is sitting on the trunk lid. And I like to get both sides of them started just in case it should break or tear apart while I'm pulling it off once it's inserted onto the trunk. Now I'm ready to install my new spoiler onto my trunk lid. I'm just going to use my 3 pins in those holes to get everything roughly lined up. And my double stick tape should relatively hold my position as needed. And then once I've done that, I can open up my trunk lid, keeping a hand on the spoiler to maintain the alignment. And then I'll use the provided screws and install them in the outer holes on the sides of the spoiler. I'm just going to get my provided screw hardware started into the threads, but not fully tighten it down. I want to be able to lift this just a little bit so that I can peel my 3M backing. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with the other screw that's provided with this kit. And then once I have those screws started, I'm going to peel my 3M backing all the way off, all the way around. I'll tighten everything up, put some light pressure down to stick the tape to the trunk lid, and we're going to call this install finished. Cut there, Ben. I've got all of my clips and hardware started, and now I can go back and start peeling the 3M backing for my tape. Once I've peeled all of this off, I can go back with my Phillips head screwdriver and tighten up my screws. I'll apply some light pressure to the spoiler to get the tape to adhere. I'll just use my Phillips head screwdriver to tighten down the screws at either side of the trunk lid. And that'll finish this up. And that's gonna wrap up this review and install of the SpeedForm Hellcat Style Rear Spoiler in matte black, fitting your 2008 and newer Dodge Challenger. Thanks for watching, and for all things Challenger, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.